All right, today we're going to take a look at the greatest integer function. It's also known as the floor function. Hopefully you'll understand what both of those names mean after we explore what this function is. Now, the notation on this function, you'll see it different ways, different places. On Hawks, I believe they do this kind of double square bracket notation. But basically what this does, it says that f of x is the greatest integer less than or equal to x. And you might sit there and what? So, for example, 5, what is the greatest integer, greatest whole number, okay, less than or equal to 5? Well, the biggest one would be 5, because that is equal to, that's included in less than or equal to. But the greatest integer less than or equal to 5.7 would also be 5. So the greatest integer of 5.1, 5.2, 5.99999, all of those would be 5. Okay. Negative 2.7. What is the greatest integer that is less than or equal to negative 2.7? Well, it's not negative 2, because negative 2 is greater than this. So the greatest integer less than or equal to negative 2.7 is negative 2. All right, let's also take a quick look at how you would graph this. This is the greatest integer function, floor function. You'll also hear this called the step function, which that will also make sense once you see this graph here. So let's think about a few points here, and that's going to help us graph this. So what's the greatest integer of 0? No, it's 0. What about 0.1? Well, it's also 0. What about 0.5? Well, the greatest integer is also 0. All the way up until you get to 1, the greatest integer is going to be 0. Now, at 1, the greatest integer of 1 is 1. Now, I don't know how easily you can tell this in the video. This is a hollow circle. This is a filled-in circle. Because at 1, like everything up to 1, it's 0. And then 1, it's 1. And then 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, all of those, the greatest integer will be 1. All the way until you get to 2. And then at 2, it moves up again. And you keep having these steps happening at every integer value. And it works the other way too. Negative 1 all the way to 0 will give you negative 1. Negative 2 all the way to negative 1 will give you negative 2. So you've got this kind of stair-step function. It's also called the floor because between 0 and 1, you're kind of in between, and it chooses to go down to the floor. Okay, so this is this greatest integer function that you see. We use this different places in mathematics, kind of as an alternative to rounding. There's some times where you don't want to round. Instead, you want to grab this floor value, this greatest integer value. So there you go.